As our second part of this series of Botox and thinking long term, I want to use the analogy of Botox like exercise. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me explain to you. If you exercise once and you don't come back and exercise for another 3 years, has that really given you any long-term gains? The answer is absolutely not. The difference is Botox is very similar to it. Oftentimes you go to these Botox outlets, you get a little treatment. First of all, the quality of the injection is bad, a lot of discomfort. Yes, I can actually do it without discomfort. I know it's hard to believe that until you come through here. Even smooth results, not peaky little brows, etc. But besides giving you a good experience and a good result, what's so important also is giving you good education. So let me explain what I'm talking about. The real problem that I find oftentimes is a patient does Botox for the wrong reasons, for the short-term gain. I want to do it to look good for a party. I have a wedding coming up, I've got to look good for it. Well, obviously that's a nice feature of Botox, that you do look younger, more relaxed. The problem ultimately is not understanding the real reason behind what you're doing it for. What you're doing Botox for is long-term gains. So let me explain exactly what I'm talking about. Let's use that exercise analogy to have you understand this a little bit better. If you exercise once a year, you're not getting long-term gains. You're getting short-term gains, which is maybe a little endorphin rush. You have that little feeling of feeling better after exercise. Well, that's sort of like the short-term gains of Botox. You look a little bit better, you go, boy, that was great, let me have that experience again. The problem with it is that if you don't stay consistent with Botox, which is every 3 or 4 months, occasionally 5 if you're consistent with it, then you're really not gaining long-term gains. Now, what are long-term gains? The texture of your skin should improve. Yes, the texture, if it's done well, not the deep crunching noise when they're going through the galea or the deep portion of the forehead. That is insane. It's too deep. It's not going to give you the texture changes. So we're talking about in the right plane, correctly administered, should actually change the texture of your skin because it's relaxing the smooth muscles. We're talking about the skeletal muscles, the deep creases that are forming from the exuberant motion of your forehead and around the eyes. Those areas are also improving over the long run. So let's think about the exercise analogy. If you stay consistent with Botox, you actually start shutting down the muscle movements, you start letting the collagen heal. You're starting to get long-term gains with it. That I had, for example, a boyfriend of this this woman, but having been doing Botox for about 1.5 years, and she said to me, I don't know why he keeps doing this. He looks so good. I need it. I said, yes, that's because you just started with me about 3 months ago, and I need to get you up to his speed. But the point is, he actually could have stopped for 6 months to a year and actually not had a problem with it. And here's an analogy using exercise. If you start running every day and you can train for a marathon, you get to the point where you can run a marathon, you probably could wait 2 weeks, 4 weeks, or even 6 weeks and still either run a marathon or run pretty close to the marathon. And so that's exactly the point. Is a lot of people say, well, if you start Botox, you got to keep doing it. That's actually not the case. You actually, I mean, it's ideal if you continue it, just like exercise. But the idea is you get cumulative gains with consecutive usage. And I've seen, just like the hypertrophy or strengthening of your muscles, Botox does the opposite, which is it begins to relax the muscles. And over time, what could have been a 3-month interval could become a 4-month interval, a 5-month interval, etc. Especially for men, you've got to be very consistent over the first 2 to 3 months so that I can actually start pushing you the long term. Because the muscles are so strong, I've got to soften them. So it's exactly like the opposite for exercise. A lot of men can build the muscle quickly more than females, but remember, I'm trying to soften the muscles over the long run, so men are harder to deal with. So you've got to be more consistent on the front end to get those results. So hopefully that idea of Botox like exercise is a helpful one to have you truly understand long-term gains.